All right, you guys are with me? Yes. Once again, friends, we're back, and if you're watching this video, you want to know how to make these cuff bracelet. This one's going to be a cuff bracelet. I'm making this one for Cesar Chavez's grandson. We're honoring him at the annual Cesar Chavez celebration this year at Los Colonias Park in Grand Junction, Colorado. So I was commissioned to create a bracelet to commemorate his grandfather and to present to him at the event. So here we have a piece of 20 gauge. I think an average wrist size for, I think his wrist size is going to require a bracelet that is 5 inches and 3/4, or yeah, 5 3/4 inches. Quarters, where's my pen? 5 1/2, 5 3/4, so we're pretty much there. This is a 6-inch piece. All right, friends, so what I want to do is I want to utilize as much of this as I can. I want for this to eventually kind of slope down, but not too narrow, as it is a dude's bracelet. What I do is I'm going to go to this high point here, and you can see, I don't know if you can see where the last time I cut a thing out of here, I made that bonehead error. You don't want to cut into like your material. You want to, can you guys see that where I cut into my, now I just shaved off that whole section. That, I mean, it's not much, but it kind of is. So whenever you cut in your, this was a ring shank, I believe. So when you're cutting that out, don't go into your main piece that much. That's like super rookie mistake. Here I'm going to give myself a 5 centimeter mark. Then I'm going to go from this middle point and then match that 5 centimeter mark. I've never been perfect ever doing this. So that's basically half of the bracelet right there, guys. All we have to do is just echo how we're going to get this next one. So, and I'm sure there's some like silversmiths out there like, dude, I know a way better way. Share, please share. I always want to learn new ways to do stuff that's going to make my life easier. And that's sometimes what I try to, not sometimes, that's what I try to do for you guys, is make your guys' lives a little easier too. Does that look mathematically? You mathematicians out there are like, dude, you messed up somewhere. I'll probably realize that later. Okay, kamikaze pilots, we have the Cadillac. Ooh, buddy. Sounds like a song. Dun 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 dun. Okay, bye. We're gonna cut into this bad boy. We're gonna make it happen, man. Let's do this. Candle wax, friends. Little candle wax. Lube it up, baby. I heard a story about somebody that was sawing and the top wire drilled into their fingernail, dude. And ever since I saw that story on somebody on one of the jewelry posts, it freaked me out, bro. So I'm like kind of paranoid about it. They even showed a picture. They're like, look what you don't do with your saw blade when you're blah blah or whatever. I was like, dude, I don't want to see that. Try to make a living out here. So this is the blank, friends. It's going to sit on the wrists, such as, for some reason I feel like I didn't cut an end. This is supposed to be 5 3/4, and I know this is 6. Didn't I not? That's why you cut the 5 3/4 first. So I'm not sure what kind of hillbilly logic I used to do this, but I think, so we're going to do this, guys, and we're going to make it work. I know how, I just, it's hard for me to articulate it, but this needs to match this, and this matches this. And yeah, buddy, we're going to make it happen. Rapping, friends. Excuse me while I use my $high belt sander. Better than a belt sander. At least this I get to keep the shavings. So I just thought about this. Last time I did one of these, I started with the full plate and then I put the wire on the rails or the edges, and then I cut on the outsides of the edges, which is probably what I should have done, because now I have to be perfect. Well, you know me, I like to make work harder for myself. All right, homies, I got 16 gauge half round copper that I got from Rio. I've had this since I started doing jewelry. So I do something like this. I let it hang over because I know it's going to bend a little bit in the middle right there. So I just use my right hand that I don't know how to use at all. Make a little notch mark. And then I would probably use my flush cutters. I guess I could just use flush cutters to do this. And if anything, cut them a little long, man. You could always trim it later. On there, we don't trip, potato trip. We don't be tripping, we stay dripping. The kids these days, they say, I got that drip. And like, it's a good thing. Back in my day, that was a bad thing. Back in my day, that was like, yo, I should have worn 2 rubbers. Well, I got a little carried away. I made 4 when I only need 2. Well, that's what happens whenever you're talking. You're not paying attention. You're talking to your friends on the internet. Okay, outlaws, here we are. We're going to place these. And I'm going to show you how I do it. And I'm sure there's a better way to do it, maybe. I guess. I don't know. That's not good advice. Don't listen to me, guys. I'm a jewelry designer, not a life coach. We're making dreams come true right here, guys. Cesar Chavez's grandson. This is history, man. I am honored to be able to do this. Anyways, we got to boom this. We got to boom this before we do move forward much further. Because this piece is going to someone of cultural legacy, we're going to watch, you guys are going to watch me put the boom on this bad boy. Somebody told me that if I put 925 on something that has copper on it, I'm misrepresenting the piece. But in my mind, it's like, dude, if you know there's copper on it, at least you want to know the silver's legit. If you think that's silver, looking at that, then you're an idiot. But you want to make sure it's not like copper on nickel, especially if you have an allergy. So I'm gonna put 925 on this bad boy. So mofos out there know what's up. Like, I don't know if that's phony baloney, or it's not phony baloney. It's 925. Yeah, it has copper on there, and it's not misrepresenting. It just means that it's 925. And if you're not smart enough to know that that's not silver, then probably you should go back to diaper school. All right, guys, now that we got the boom stamped in there, we're gonna go ahead and do some cleanup here. And if you had a chalupa for lunch and you got chalupa juice on your finger still, it cleans it so that you can put those rails on nice. Some of you guys know, here's a little pro tip. If you guys have one of these rubber things, I got this with one of my Amazon jewelry starter kits when I started doing jewelry, and I use this all the time because you can put the piece on there and it's not on the metal. It's kind of a little cushion, and it kind of holds the silver when you're, especially small pieces, when you're sanding. It holds the small pieces, kind of, it hugs the small pieces very nicely. Just rub it on your shirt like a hillbilly. And then look at it with your friends. You can see where the stamping went through. So I gave it a nice boom right there, boys and girls. Well, it's not going to be perfectly... When it goes around your wrist is weird. Like, one part of your wrist, you want for it to be a little... Sometimes you want it to be a little bit different than the other side of your wrist because the way your wrist is shaped. And I don't know. I just believe in the jewelry spirits is going to make it happen for me like they always do. Bam, friends. Technique, if it's a little wonky, what I'll do is I'll just go like this on my bench pin. Pro tip, as if I'm a professional something, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Back over here, you can see that those have much more of a uniform kind of shape to them. and that looks good. This can be bent down like that, but at least it has like a nice uniform shape. So I'll give it just a little. I'm gonna mark the one that goes on top so I don't get these confused, get them switched around and thinking that goes there. And we're getting close. We're getting close. If I do this right, man, I hope you guys subscribe to my channel. You're like, man, this guy's a genius. Oh, don't say that. Let's not get carried away, friends. Let's not get carried away. So that's pretty much it, guys. We're gonna go like this, and then I'm going to get the chalupa juice off the bottom here. I'm gonna use some handy flux that you can use for mixed metals. I often use my regular flux, but this is really good for mixed metals, according to my my mentor Melanie Klein, Master Silversmith. I just listen. I don't argue, I just listen, guys. Clean that chalupa juice. I do not eat Taco Bell, friends. Very rare occasion will I eat Taco Bell, just because they say live mas, and I'm like, doubt it. Handy flux on there with my Q-tip that you guys see me do in previous videos. I'll do handy flux Q-tip and I'll just rub it. Get it hot, we'll throw some solder on this, then we'll flip them, we'll put it on there, and then we're gonna put these together, and then that's gonna be the beginning of our custom cuff bracelet, old school style. So in case you guys didn't know, I actually have a lanyard microphone on for the first time, and I have it plugged into my phone. It says it automatically pairs, and it I don't know if it works or not, but if I sound better than I do in my other videos, that's why. Down over here, down here, boy. Shoot, I'll tell you what. All right, friends, let's get this. So copper is very interesting because you really have to get hot and work fast, because it gets dirty fast as far as like the crust. And I don't know if it's the acetylene. This is how I work, guys. Surgical precision. Good. Looking good. Looking good. Blam. See how that just gets dirty? So with copper, what I've learned is clean it. You even want to sand this. You want to clean it after the solder spread. With silver, sometimes I don't. Often I don't. But with copper, because it oxidizes and it gets kind of crusty, clean it, man, and it'll make your life a lot easier. So we're gonna do the other one. I'm gonna go ahead and sign out until I do the other one, because you don't need to see me do that. All right, cat dads. We put the solder on the back of the copper, and those are ready for the rails to put onto this. However, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go to the pool hall, go probably find some cowboys or some bikers to beat up. You know, just get a little exercise. Because my gym membership expired. So I'm gonna take a break, and I'll be back with I'm gonna cut my fingernails for you guys, and I'll see you guys after a little bit. All right, Juanitosville, I'm back from the pool hall. It was a success. I got some exercise. Gonna clean these rails. Getting them ready for play. You guys are probably wondering why my knuckles aren't all beat up. Although I did cut my fingernails for you guys. You guys are wondering why my knuckles aren't all beat up from fighting bikers and cowboys at the pool hall, but when that's because when I fight, I mostly slap. For one, it's more degrading to the ops. It's more degrading, and for two, you don't really have to worry too much about hurting your jewelry makers. You gotta think ahead, friends. But before we put the plate, what we're gonna do, before we place these on the plate, we're going to dip this in boric acid and denatured alcohol mix. Light it on fire, and it will create a chemical barrier that will keep the fire scale to a minimum. Okay, I have my boric acid mixture here. Denatured alcohol, about 60-40. I don't know what's actually it is, because I've had some boric acid in here for a while, and I just add some denatured alcohol, but it's just a nice kind of a thicker fluid, but very fluidy, not like a thick pasty, but just like a thick, like a milk maybe, I guess. So we're gonna give it one of these numbers and put our piece in there. Just get it. Put that on the thing. Give it one of these. Get this far away. Boom. Let that burn off. Hopefully it doesn't burn the camera. It burns off pretty quick. Let's get out of here. Let's open the door and get some ventilation here. I need to work on my ventilation system still. You guys are like, he really needs to work on his ventilation. Yeah, I know. So I put this block here. I put this wire on to give the piece some distance from the block, so the block doesn't act too much as a heat sink. And now I'm going to put this rail, the top rail, action there. I believe in that, guys. My super safe fire starter. Get the whole thing to temperature at the same time. That is the goal, friends. I'll probably start in the middle and work my way out. So when you do this, I've done it where I started on this side, or I've gotten the ends first, and then the middle there's a bubble, which isn't so bad because it's going to bend over, but if the solder doesn't run through, you'll see a gap. So what I've learned is to start get the whole thing hot, and they probably need a little more heat than this. Get the whole thing hot and start in the middle, get that middle tack, and then just work your way, I'm tickling the outside because I really want to get everything pretty close to a nice hot temperature so that whenever I concentrate in the middle, it's ready to go. Oh no! Dude! What happened? Was it that hot? What happened? That never happened before. Okay. Take that. We took that off. We're gonna do that next. We're gonna focus on this. So I'm gonna spend some time to clean this up right here, because whenever I had it on there, I was trying to do them both at the same time. This one moved, and then I had to pull it off real fast, and it moved the solder. Luckily, I got it off. Sometimes I've done them where they get stuck, moved, like shifted like that, and they're on there, and you can get this hot, but you can't get this hot at the same time, and it's like it breaks. Oh, that's a pain in the ass, but we're good. We're good. I'm not really against that. That looks pretty good right there, guys. I'd buy that for $1. Okay, we're just gonna move this over to the block. And all right, party animals. So whether we like it or not, this is what it is, guys. And you can see where there's some meat on the outside here, and there's some meat on the outside there, and that's really what we want. What we don't want is for what we perceive as the meat to be underneath the copper, because then we're gonna have to shave the copper down to make a nice flush face, and eventually we're gonna have a nice flush face. So flush face. Oh yeah, buddy. Okay. So the shape that these rails are is the shape that the bracelet's going to be, whether we like it or not. So we're going to spend some time and file these down, make them flush. File these down, make them flush, and then move on to the next step. So, all right, guys. So we're just going to do this until the cows come home. All right. I decided to saw the thinnest little strip you possibly can, but I'm using my algal eyes to really look at it and save myself having to file that off, because it's just easier to saw it off if you can. Oh geez, friends, look at the precision. It's not even fair. All my wild friends are at the pool hall right now. But, you know, I'm really trying to stay away from the pool hall. That's why I'm hanging out with you guys. You guys are keeping me out of the pool hall. Thank you. All right, skaters. We have the wrist blank. It's essentially what's going to be. I can already see that this is going to be probably the top of it, as it has a slight more of an arc than the bottom. And that's going to end up being a really cool, subtle design effect. So the next thing we do at this point, guys, is I will bend this into the cuff, and everything we do after this point onto this bracelet for Cesar Chavez's grandson will be done on a curve, which is often challenging, but we got this. So we're going to get this. We know what it is. This goes to the top. We're just going to give it one of these numbers and see what it does. So we look at this, and we know we're getting close. It's going to take a little bit of work, but we'll get it shaped just right, and I'll show you what the result is.
Oh, I got shit in my eyes.
You got shit in your eyes? That's gross. I'm going to do like a cuffing on each of the ends. That's going to have dimension. It's going to come up above, like cone, like a cove above. And then we're going to put, and then we're going to put, and then we're going to make it happen. You're going to see, man. Stick around to the end. This is going to blow your mind. Because we want cove. See how much cove that creates. Possibly too much cove, friends. We don't want a cove down here. We want this to sit flat. So nice seal right there. We'll seal it like that, and whatever's hanging off, we'll cut that off. All right, guys. So this is what I got so far. One of the edges got it domed like a cove, and hanging over like a California visor. Blam. We're going to put solder on the bottom of this, along this edge, and along this bottom, and along this edge. And then we're going to put it like that, and then we're going to solder that on by itself. Once that's on, that will become part of the mass, and then we'll keep adding. Yeah, buddy, this is gonna be cool. Top, front corners, and back, bottom, specifically in the middle right there, because that's where it's gonna touch. So we're just gonna get this all to heat at the same time. Got our pick here just to, if we have to help move anything. Everything looks good. That's where we want it. We want this right here along this edge. Good. Right here along this edge. Good. Boom. I really want to touch it, but it might ruin my day. But that's how it's going to go right there. We want contacts. We want contact on these front corners here, because that's kind of important to the design, because we want for it to really sit in there securely. Aesthetically, it's going to look So strong. If that's hanging up or if that's messed up, your eye is gonna go there. It's gonna be like, eh. Bam, kids. Heat it from underneath. Flash this top. That looks good. Let's get this going good. Watch. Oh, buddy, I think we got it. I just feel it. I just feel it, man. I just feel it. We're gonna cut this and then see what we're working with here. That solder should be right under there. Look at that little swerve that we got right here. Boom, that's gonna be cool. We're gonna put some adornments here, bam, bam, here, centerpiece here, same on this side, and then we're gonna do another one on this side. And I know it's tedious, and these, I hate doing these, dude. Especially when you have like, this is 26 gauge. I've only done it before with 20 gauge, and I think I did it once with 22 gauge. I really like 22 gauge. 26 gauge, I don't know how, I don't know how strong it's going to be. I think I wish I would have done 22 gauge. I think 22 gauge is perfect. 20 gauge is a little hard to get it right where you want it and to bend it because it's so thick. But 22 is perfect. I think this is going to be fine. Once I put some supporting little pieces under this that I'm going to do, that's going to accompany the middle piece. But it's not easy, guys, but we're going to keep working. All right, Juanitosville, this is day 2. This is what I did yesterday in the afternoon. Made a little bit of progress right here with this. These are tricky because I don't know the math on how to make these just right. So I just kind of trial and error each time. So this is the second one. I know I want for it to be flat right here, flat on this edge, and for it to have a cove on this edge. So you can see I just kind of mocked it up like where I want it, and then see where I marked right here where that needs to come off and this needs to come off. But it needs to have a shape like that because it needs to bend that way and also that way. So if I was a rocket surgeon, I would be able to do the math and be like, oh, I will need precisely this angle with that angle, but I'm not a rocket surgeon, so I just have to eyeball it, give the old eyeball, and once I get this to fit, I'm going to flatten it, stamp the stampings in it so that it matches the back of these stampings, and then anneal it, and then bend it, and then get it back on there. So it's a little bit of a tedious process, but well worth it in the end. Warm it up, Chris. What I'm about to do. Who did that song? Warm it up, Chris. If you know the answer to that song, you probably need to take your Advil this morning. Old school. Alright, I'm going to sign out because I don't want you guys to have to watch all this because this just takes a long time. But we'll finish it and then I'll show you, because the real fun, this is like the kind of the most difficult to me, the most difficult part of the bracelet are these ends. After that, everything just starts to flow. Then it becomes an art project. This right here is like a fabrication project. All right here, I'm gonna make the circle. Boom. Okay, now I'm going overboard. So I got a nice circle there. What I do is get my handy dandy glue stick. So where I put the divider right in the middle of the chest, that's about where I'm gonna put this hole. Run my drill through it, and our goal here, saw out this bird. Okay, so we're gonna get it, man. Very delicate procedure. Woo. That's what I cut out. That's what it looks like, guys. And that's basically the image that we're looking for. There we go. Woo! That 18 gauge is not easy, and that's a 3/0 blade. I saw it like I was running away from wild animals, zigzagging, you know, but I think in the end, after I smooth it out, it'll be nice, a nice circle. And then the vision is we're gonna put this on another plate of copper to have copper underneath it. And then I'm gonna solder those together, and then we're gonna dome them. And I hope this is not too big, but it's gonna be a dome for the middle of this. Oh, it's gonna be just the perfect size. Except for I need to dome it quite a bit because I gotta have room for a bezel around this, because I'm gonna bezel the silver. Guys, we are doing some things I've never seen before, but we're gonna make it happen rapid, man. We are not gonna look back. Always leaning toward moving forward, baby. As I'm beveling it in, because once it domes over, I don't want for it to have a sharp edge, because I need as much space as I can so I can fit that 18 gauge bezel wire around it. So I'm gonna use 18 gauge bezel wire around it. You want to see how I'm gonna do that, make sure you stick around. But again, we're back over here at our high dollar belt sander, and I'm telling you guys, if you have a file stationary like this, it just makes, not as easy as a belt sander, but it makes life a lot easier. All right, we cleaned the back of that, so we're going to go ahead and trace this 24 gauge, I believe it's 24 gauge copper. All right, we got the piece right here, copper coin. We're gonna put those together and then dome. All right, cat moms and dads out there, we have our wire, and then what I'm going to do is put some solder pallets just around this and heat this, and then once that gets going, drop it on there, heat the whole thing, and then marry them together. We're gonna get this nice and melted. Hope you guys are all doing well in your business, man. If you guys have any like marketing strategies and ideas on how to get your jewelry out there, I mostly just post my stuff, and people are like, dude, I need that. And I said, all right, well, let's talk. Do everything through DMs. And then I do a lot of customs. People say, can you make me something like that? Or like initials or something that's significant to me. So I got you, man. Big circles around the whole thing, get everything kind of to fall in love. Make it make love. That's an analogy for you. I'm gonna believe in that. I didn't see any solder flow, but I know what the metal looks like when it's about there, and that's what it looked like to me. So let's see if I'm right. How cool does that look? Oh, buddy, that looks so cool. Because it's going to be domed and it's going to be covered by a bezel on the edges. 18 gauge. Stick around for that one. All right, homies. I was thinking about this. I like the way that copper looks in there. It looks very aged. Like usually you have to wait a long time for copper to get like that. But I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to try to get it to that brilliant copper shine because it just adds so much to the piece. Oh man, that's gonna be cool. So let's dome it and see what that looks like. Moment of truth, guys. I hope this works. Dudes, just like my vision. Andres Chavez, what's up, homie? I hope you're watching this. I hope the bracelet fits. I hope you love it. I know you wear it with pride, but I hope it's something that you wear a lot, man. Shout me out, man. Shout me out. Ben Boom, Colorado. So I am Chicano, if anybody out there is wondering, and my heritage, which is Native American and Spanish. I'm from Colorado, and so I have pride in my Mexican heritage, my Spanish heritage, and my Native American heritage. Well, this used to be Mexico, Western Colorado, where I live. This was in the northernest part, one of the northernest part of Mexico, from what I understand. And I think whenever like white people came, a lot of my native family took off to the hills instead of getting rounded up and put into the camps or reservations, or whatever they called it. My grandma was born in Pitkin, Colorado. My grandpa was born in Taos, New Mexico. My other mom's side of the family is from the Four Corners area. My mom was born in Cortez, Colorado. My grandma's side of the family, her last name's Williams. So I think Europeans, or like white people, gave the Indians their last names, I guess. I don't know. Like they did the slaves probably. Because brown people, they look like my Spanish or my Indian side of the family, they look like Mexicanos, man. Brown skin, black hair, but Mexicanos look like natives. Many do. We got that native blood, man. Native and European. Okay, guys, let's look at this. That's kind of popping up right there, and I think I can smooth that out, and I can get that to sit down. But that is a nice dome, and that is going to be cool. So I made two 18 gauge copper coin looking things, and then this is going to sit on top. And then I made it high like that so I have a place for the bezel to wrap around. And what I'm going to do is treat this like I'm going to solder these all together so there's no rattling. And then I'm going to treat it like a cabochon, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a slope in. If that makes sense, all the way around, so that it sits with a kind of a slope for that bezel to hug like it's a stone. Man, that's going to be cool. Don't know, I've never seen this before. I've never tried this before. So you guys get to be with me on a first. So I put a couple pallets of, I thought Juanitosville might want to see this. Gotta go hot fast with copper. And it doesn't need to be perfect. Copper's a little strange, you never know. But I'm gonna believe in that. It's on the rim, just enough. Then we're gonna put this. Don't burn your fingers. So I should probably turn my fire off for this, but let's live on the edge, friends. I think I see that. I wonder if I'm gonna believe in that. I think I'm gonna believe in that. Oh, we got that. Cool. Woo, that's hot. That's still hot. I put it in the water and it's still hot. That's how massive this thing is. Freaking, this guy's heavy, man. So that looks a little uneven. That's fine, because we're gonna shave this to that slope we're talking about. On to the next step. I'm glad you guys got to see that. That was cool. All right, friends. So right here, I cut these pieces of rectangle strip, and I'm using my tool like a smart person to straighten them out. Usually I just use brute strength, but I'm trying to be evolved. An evolved human being over here, guys. I opted for this technique on this one just because I don't want to be annoyed. I want my energy to be right, guys. This is for Andres. The bloodline of activism in our area of the country, and actually for the nation, but directly impacting people in my area. All right, guys, we're using our pliers that look like this, with the round on one side, half round pliers maybe, and I'm giving them a little bit of a swoop. All right, Juanitosville, this is a generalization of the mock-up that I'm thinking about for the edges here. I'm trying to create this effect with these little pieces that are going to be coming out of both sides. They represent the growth, the harvest, for the farm workers. So I'm going to do that on both sides, and everything I just did, I'm going to take those out and then get them prepared. Maybe heat them and round them out a little bit, because right now they look very squarish. But if I heat them, they'll soften, just on the verge of melting. They'll soften, and then I'll be able to form them, put them back in there, and maybe flatten the ends so they fit in there just a little bit better. Solder, put them in there, heat the whole thing. Boom. We're going to start in stages. So we're going to start with the edges first. Okay, introverts, we are here, and I'm going to put heat on these and get them to soften up a little bit. You guys are wondering why they're not touching, and that's so they don't accidentally fuse together. Because I'm gonna get these pretty hot, and if you guys seen in some of my other videos where I do a lot of fusing, it's really cool to do, actually. Right here. Okay, good. I'm happy with those. That one got a little heavy, that one got a little heavy, but you'll see, you'll see. Blam. I look at the side that's less roundy, and that's the side that I'm gonna stick inside the, under the cove. All right, guys, I just did this. It took a lot of heat. What's up right there? I think we got a good seal. We're gonna let it cool off. We're gonna play with it a little bit, but that's part of the vision right there. I know it doesn't look like much now, but just wait. All right, Juanitosville, we are making a castellated bezel with 18 gauge. We got a back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna note the top or the bottom of the bezel. I'm gonna make a mark so I know which way is the top and which way is the bottom, and I'll always be able to tell because the solder, that's the bottom, this is the top. And to achieve that curve is I'm going to use 220 grit, 220 grit, very coarse paper, sandpaper, and I'm going to wrap the sandpaper around the wrist. So I go like this, and I have not always been good at this, but I go right here, and then I just go back and forth on this curve, and then it eventually makes the curve. You guys want to watch me do this? Are you bored yet? You probably are, and I could do fast forward for a long time, but that would be boring too. So we're just gonna just fade out and then fade back in, and it's gonna be done. Power of television. All right, Juanitosville, this is the piece. If you can see, I did that on the bracelet mandrel, and you can see we have a nice sit right there. It's not perfect, but it will be. That, guys, that crown is gonna hug, the castellation is gonna hug right over the top. We are back, and I'm experimenting with this camera angle right here, so it's not the camera angle right above, because this is going to get hot, and it's going to have to get hot because there's a lot of mass going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly drip some flux on the four corners, and then what I do is just kind of rub it. I have a little bit of an angle. Actually, I'm going to slide this like this so I can get my torch, because I want to work underneath it. And lots of heat, guys. We're gonna get this whole thing toasty. We're gonna start in the bottom, get the bottom toasty, higher heat right here. It's screaming, mama. It's screaming. This might not be sitting right, guys. It's not sitting right. Oh, jeez, I'm sorry. Jeez, we had it so close. All right, guys, we're back. I got it situated better. So, again, we're gonna work on the inside. Ooh, don't hit it. It's because that freaking thing. These pieces high centering the bezel. Piece of solder. And just make the bezel get hotter before anything else. You got to have a good seal, guys, and if that's teeter-tottering on there, I'm gonna turn this off, dude. Try it again. God dang it. My guy on one of my groups says to do that, and I'm like, I've never had success doing that. He says put it underneath, and then whenever the solder melts, it'll all fall down into place. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how that works for you. Never works for me. That kind of pissed me off. Let's keep working though. We're gonna keep fighting, guys. Back to screaming. Let's not let that pull down too much. Let's take advantage. Jump on the bezel. Something's not right here. I'm gonna take this apart. I'm gonna clean it really good. Even if I have to take the fire scale blocker off, or the denatured alcohol and boric acid off, because I need to have a clean place to put this for it to get a nice seal. I think there's just too much crud on there, man. Ugh. All right, Juanitosville, after a little bit of cleanup, redoing it, I dipped it again in boric acid or denatured alcohol to reduce the chance of fire scale, and I got a better fit onto from the bezel onto the back plate, and I put solder, medium solder, all the way around. And now we're gonna heat it. We cleaned everything. It was really crusty, it was really dirty, and I should have known better, but sometimes I think I get ahead of myself. All right, guys, we're getting close to temperature, so I brought you guys back. Pros out there, if you guys know what I'm doing wrong, please let me know. God dang. It's just not being nice to me, guys. It's balling up. What am I doing wrong? Dang, I've never had that issue before. What the heck? Not enough flux? All right, homies, this is where we're at now. I got the top bezel to sit nicely right on there, as you can see. There are some gaps. It's not perfect. I struggled, but it's on there really good. It's on there where the gaps are small, and where it's touching, it's 18 gauge. So there's a lot of metal that's making contact with the metal it's on there. So this is what I'm thinking, maybe a couple feathers with spirals of life, some half spheres. Haven't decided, but I'm just kind of sketching on here and what it might look like, but that's kind of where my mind is going right now. But I may do one side feathers and the other side leaves. So it represents the freedom, but the leaves represent the family tree leaves. But it's art, so it's up for interpretation. But I'm gonna do some feathers, I'm gonna do some leaves. And yeah, buddy, so we're gonna get this bezel hot again, and get a little bit more solder to run, but we're gonna do it all together with when this other stuff's on there too. We're gonna take it like that, man, one step at a time. Keep moving, keep it groovy like a drive-in movie. All right, friends, right here we got the first two feathers. If you guys have watched my feather making video, it shows how to do this. We're gonna make one-sided feathers because we're gonna use them for adornments. The other side is gonna be flat, so which means only one side of the feather is gonna have half round stem. And this is 16 gauge half round stem. We made two of the feathers so far. This leaf, it is somehow in the design going to this maybe. It's gonna be cool. But this is a leaf. It's not finished, I just barely cut it out. But before I start shaping it, I'm gonna give it some of these little, I guess, leaf textures. Boom. Do you think you should have one right there? Yeah, that top one right there. All right, we have the feathers. I worked on them. I hope you can see that. The leaf. So here we're just gonna tin the back of them with some solder because they have a little bit of a dimension to them. We're gonna make sure that the solder is on the edges. All right, we're here with a nice clean that's going to go with the contour of the piece. Okay, I like. Got this wire. I want to let you guys see this process of making these spirals. I have square wire here. This is 18 gauge square wire. I've done spirals with the round wire, and that's pretty traditional Navajo style, I learned. And the spiral is significant in the Native American culture. Some people call it the spiral of life. That's what I call it. I call it the spiral of life. And I just think it's really cool. So what I did is I just got a piece that bent it down. I bent it down so I have something to put my pliers on, and then I just work around like this until I make a nice spiral. Not push too hard. But see how the square wire kind of folds on itself a little bit? It doesn't stay flat. Ooh, I like that texture. It's so cool. That might be about good. Snip that. And then we'll snip this bottom piece. I'm gonna put things down with the flush cutters. Boom. With the mallet. And it will be a perfect spiral of life button. All right, friends, we're gonna make some adornments. We're gonna do some half spheres here, and I just have some scrap sitting on this plate. That's why you don't put, see, I almost started a forest fire. Keep that away. So you guys probably already know about this stuff, but for those that don't, let's make some little balls. Normally I do it on this surface, but I'm gonna do it on this surface right now to see if it's any different. So what I do is I let it get red, and then when it gets a little bit, then I pull it off, because sometimes it'll stick, especially to this bottom. It'll stick to this stuff a lot. I don't know if it'll stick to this. I don't know if I've ever used this to make balls. When it gets a little bit cool, if you pinch it too early, if you take it off too early, it'll mush. I wonder if that one kind of mush. I think we can do a little better. And if you didn't get like the sphere that you're looking for, just reheat it. Slowly away. Here, kind of like right there, I want to do a sun in that space. right in this very space right here, I want to do something that depicts the sun. So what I'm deciding is I'm going to beat the crap out of these little pieces of twist that I got out of my scrap pile. I'm going to beat them until they look like one of them is going to look like a sun, and then we'll see which one we use. And what we're doing is we're going to get them just to the level where they're about to melt. They'll soften up, they'll bubble a little bit, or I don't know, they reticulate to some degree. The lettuce as the sun over this foliage. The sun, but it looks like lettuce, dude. That's cool. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get this hot and put all these parts on. All right, Juanitosville, we have adornments. We have this sun. We have these balls. We have 2 spirals. We're gonna go around and put solder on them. Looking. Okay, everything looks good, dude. Placing them, putting some flux, and then heating the whole thing up, and then it all just becomes one. When you're heating and you have everything glowing red at the same time, that means it's all one. If you're heating and one piece turns bright red before everything else, that piece is not connected. So you just look at the way the silver warms and to determine if you have a nice connection on everything. Ideally, and probably when I heat this up, everything will glow red at the same time, right before the solder runs for these new pieces that we're putting in. And so yeah, you just gotta go in, man, and that's what we're doing. All right, Juanitosville, I'm gonna let you guys watch this part. Hopefully, if it has any value, then that's what's up. So I'm starting with this lettuce sun. All right, guys, I know this is long, guys. I'm gonna try to use fast forward as much as I can. Okay. All right, guys. Big heat. Big heat. All right. Play that funky music, one boy. Play that funky music now. Lay down the beat and play that funky music till you die. Till you die. Oh man, I like that song. All right, guys, we're getting to the promised land, friends. This one looked a little sus. That one looked a little sus, Holmes. Yeah, I saw that. That ran, homie. Oh, man. Ran it like it was trying to dip from the cops. All right, we are continuing on with this project, guys. We got all this to stick, and everything's feeling good. Now we're gonna start working on the other half. We're gonna start off with these guys. These are just these little feathers that I just kind of cut out, and this one is gonna go this way. Boy, friends, I want them to look exactly like each other, but at least like flow in the same energy. Damn, we'll see. All right, Juanitosville, we are here at this point. So this is the other. I put 2 feathers going like this, similar to the other side. I put an eye right here, an ojo, which is it wards off negative. And then I put these, it looks like sprouts coming up like this. It's upside down, but it looks like sprouts coming this way. And then I put a spiral for the head, and then thing over the head to represent the innocence. This is like the child. This is the next generation. The feathers are not tattered. This represents the old generation where that sacrificed, and the tatter of the feathers. And this represents the new generation, the children, the innocence, the purity, and what the old generation is fighting for, so the new generation doesn't have to be tattered, doesn't have it so hard. That's what I think. So I don't know. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Okay, here we go, friends. We're gonna get it. Oh, buddy, come on, man. Have some solder. Do some action for us. It's not. See how it's independently red like that? It's not down. There we go. There we go. There we go. See how the feather's red now? Just like everything around it. I think we're good. I'm not really convinced with this guy right here, but... okay, I think we're good. Oh, guys, that's a lot. That's a lot of heat. Don't... yeah, but that's what it takes. Perfect. Perfect. Sorry, guys. I almost burned you guys up. Man, that just never stops looking cool. All right, Juanitosville, this is right at the end, guys. It's still pretty hot, but I think we got all the parts. I went over it. I've added a little bit more and added a little bit more. I looked and a piece fell off and I had to put it back, one of the little balls. And I just kind of had to trial and error it a little bit. But we're going to put it in the pickle and get it cleaned up and see what we're working with. So this is it, guys. A lot of process here. Some symbology. Very powerful piece. We're going to go ahead and start with the polishing process. And next time you see this will probably be with some funky music. And... it's Rockstar debut.